This is the 15th video in the beginning programming series about Octagon. And this is part 3 of the Making Decisions series. In this video, we're going to look at the all statement. For more information, visit jb.works and at the search prompt, enter the TMT code shown at the bottom of the screen. So far, we've looked at the any statement and we looked at one or two tests. So for example, any test 1, test 2. If both tests are true, then we will run the true action. If both tests are false, then we run the false action. But if either one of the two tests is true, we still run the true action. So basically, any one of these tests can be true, and you can have more than two tests, you can have as many tests as you want. We'll always run the true action as long as one of them is true. The next case is the all statement, and what that says is that in order to be true, all of the tests must be true. So if one of these isn't true, we'll run the false action. If both of them are true, we'll run the true action, and that's the only circumstance in which we can run the true action, because all literally means all of the tests have to be true for us to run the true action. And finally, if all of the tests or any one of the tests is false, then we always run the false action. So if we return back to our swimming example from the previous videos, and that was where we wanted to know whether the temperature was okay for us to go and have a swim. Now, when you live in Singapore and you want to go swimming, the temperature isn't the only thing you have to worry about. You also have to worry about rain. In New Zealand, when you go swimming, it just rains, gets a bit cold, and that's about it. In Singapore, when it begins to rain, there's always the chance of lightning and thunder. And that's really dangerous, especially when you're in a big pool of water. And so when it's raining, most of the time when it's raining, you can't carry on swimming. You actually have to get out of the pool. So for our program that would decide whether we want to go for a swim or not, we have to take into account two things. We have to, first of all, take into account whether the temperature of the water is going to be okay, whether I want to have a swim. But the second thing we need to take into account is whether it's raining or not. And both of these have to be right for us to be able to swim. So all of them have to be true. Now, in the case of the rain, the true is that there's no rain. And in the case of the temperature, it's the temperature of the water being higher than our threshold. So let's have a look at the code that would implement this. Okay, so here we are looking at our wee program. So this is very similar to the original swimming program, except we've got the water temperature here, and that's 25 degrees, and we've got Jack's threshold, which is 20 degrees. So as long as the water temperature is greater than the Jack threshold, or 20 degrees, we can go for a swim. And then here we have the new variable, which is the rain. And right now we've got that set at 0. So we print the message, and let's run it and see what it does. So in this case, swimming test program, so it's printing the message. Water temperature is 25, Jack's threshold is 20, so that's fine, the water's warm enough. The rain is 0, which is also fine, so yes, we can swim. So in the code, there's the printing the title, which is that one there. Then we print the water temperature, which we see here, etc. And then we print the rain. We see that here. And this is the all statement. So what this is doing is it's basically has these two tests. So the first one is the water temperature greater than or equal to Jack's threshold? Yes. So that test is true. And the second test is the rain 0? And in this case, yes, it is. So it's true. So we have two true. Everything is true, therefore, yes, we can go for a swim. If they weren't true, if any one of these wasn't true, then we would say, no, we can't swim. So let's do that. Let's make the water temperature 2 degrees, because that'll be really cold. So we run it, and sure enough, no, we can't swim. And that's because Jack's threshold is 20, and the water temperature is 2, and Jack's not getting into 2-degree water for anybody. So if I put the temperature back up to 25 and we run it again, so yes, we can swim now. Now let's add some rain. So make the rain 1, or maybe, 1. So if I run that, no, we can't swim. So yes, the water temperature is fine, but it's raining and we can't we can't swim when it's raining because we don't want to get hit by lightning or risk getting hit by lightning. And so we end up coming to the false action. And that's because, in this case, the temperature is fine, but the rain is not equal to 0. So basically, the all statement means that all of the tests have to be passed or have to be true before it will run the true action. If any one of them is not, it will always run the false action. Okay, so lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to look at combining any and all statements into the same expression, which is what this line is. So what we're doing here is we're saying if any test 1 or all of tests 2 and 3 are true, then we'll run the true action. Now I've put the all statements in purple because these effectively represent one test, even though they're 2 tests, but their combined result is what we'll actually use. So if both test 2 and test 3 are true, then we'll run the true action, even if test 1 is false. And likewise, if test 1 is true, but say test 3 is false, which would make all of that false, we'll still run the true action. So this lets you be more specific in the way that you do the tests and the way that you treat them. So what we'll do now is look at our swimming pool example and see how this would fit into that and how it could be useful. Okay, so here is our previous swimming pool program, but what I've done is I've added a new variable called indoor pool. And the idea is that if indoor pool is 1, which means we're going to swim in an indoor pool, then that overrides the other 2 criteria, which are the temperature and whether it's raining. Overrides the temperature because it's not an indoor pool, so it's not cold outside, so it won't matter if the water's a bit cooler. And for the rain, well, we don't care about the rain if it's an indoor pool because the lightning can't get us. It's inside, it's protected. So we're doing the same thing, but we're printing now whether it's an indoor pool. And notice we've added an any statement in front of the original all statement. And what the any one does is it says if the pool is indoors, then we're going to go swimming, irrespective of these 2. So right now, I've got the indoor pool set to 0, so we're not in an inside pool, it's outside, and rain set to 1. So when I run the program, it should tell us that we can't swim. No, we can't swim because it's raining and we're not inside the building. We're not in an indoor pool. So now if I set indoor pool to 1 to say, yes, we are going to swim inside, and I leave the rain at 1, and in fact, I can even make the temperature 2, which before would have stopped us from swimming. Now if I run the program, yes, we can swim, despite the fact that the water temperature is 2 degrees, my threshold is 20, and it's raining. But because we're in an indoor pool, that overrides all of these guys. And that's what's happening here. So the indoor pool, because remember, any says if any test is true, then we will run the true action. And the indoor pool test is true, despite these 2 here being false. So that's an example of combining any and all statements to make more complicated tests. And these are really, really useful in programming. So what you can do now is just experiment, add some other criteria, see if you can come up with something interesting. For more information, visit jb.works.